Hey, hello. Welcome back from the weekend. Hopefully you guys had a good one. This is the Stokastic.com NFL Showdown Strategy Show. Dave Loughran and Matt Gajewski coming to you live as we do every Monday and Thursday. Matt, it feels like the schedule makers probably thought they had a good one on their hands today. Not their fault at all. I mean, Texas, battle of the Texas teams. Houston, Dallas, week 11, probably two teams battling for position and playoff contention. And now it's Cooper Rush against CJ Stroud. So here we are. What's good, brother?
Anytime you get these late season quarterback injuries and you have to turn to Cooper Rush, Tommy DeVito, it's just not obviously what the schedule makers intended. Sometimes that's just how it goes. But sometimes you get the Commanders and you get the Eagles on Thursday Night Football in a surprising good game. So I guess it goes both ways. But
Which actually ended
regardless,
up being a bad game, but it should have been a good game.
yeah, on paper, it was a good game. It was fun to
Yep.
talk about. But yeah, I mean, sometimes these bad games end up being entertaining and it's showdown. So it doesn't really matter. We have the avenue that makes it exciting.
Can you tell the audience what you were telling me about Thanksgiving prior to us getting started today? This is so exciting. I'm
Well,
not
you
even kidding.
guys, yeah, you guys that love Thanksgiving as you're watching Showdown. You guys definitely love Thanksgiving football and the three-game slate. With Daniel Jones benching, we now get Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito on Thanksgiving, continuing the tradition of at least one matchup being two atrocious quarterbacks facing each other. Here we are.
Trey Lance, well, sorry, might be Trey Lance.
That would be better.
It would, but as it stands right now, Cooper Rush, Tommy DeVito for Thanksgiving. So for the Cowboys always play the 4 o'clock game. The 1 o'clock game is always the Lions, and then the night game is always just a random matchup. The night game is usually the good one. Like they usually put good. Who is it this year? Let's see. Let's see the Thanksgiving schedule.
It's only 10 days away. I mean, we can start taking a little peek ahead.
I know. Dolphins, Packers. So that should actually be a damn good game now that the Dolphins are healthy. And the
Yeah.
Dolphins, Jordan, I haven't moved. You said you framed me up. I haven't not moved, man. Have I moved? Did I move? Okay. Tells me he has to frame me up because I move around too much during shows, which isn't wrong, but I don't think I moved yet. But yeah, Matt, Dolphins Packers is a nice game.
Yeah, we get a little sandwich spot because the Bears line shouldn't be, I mean, it's not going to be as bad as the Giants Cowboys. But yeah, the Lions are normally the bad team on Thanksgiving, but no longer. We'll see if the Bears can continue their somewhat success from their last game yesterday. I'm excited for this slate. I mean, I always am. The showdowns are awesome. And like that game being a standalone showdown on Thanksgiving, Giants Cowboys will make it more intriguing for sure. But yeah, it also kind of has a important piece to the slate because you have really high owned quarterbacks. Like, at what point do you need to consider Tommy DeVito, Cooper Rush, or Trey Lance, whoever it is? And in the past, I've been flamed by the David Blaus and whoever else, Dusty QBs that actually
Yep,
have good games on that day. David Blau killed me that
me
Thanksgiving.
too. And the year after that, it was Adrian Peterson who just like came off the couch and had 3 touchdowns. All right, Matt and chat, before we get into this game, indulge me, entertain this for a second. Let's have some real quick fun for Thanksgiving because we're both excited about this. Let's set our own lines for these games and see how far apart we are. Bears, Lions. I have one in mind.
Lions minus 11 and a half.
Okay, I was going to go 9.5. I
Damn,
was
you
going
think it's inside 10 at Lions at
well,
home?
well, the Titans game was 10. The Jags game was 13. And this is a divisional spot. I know inside 10 seems wild, but I feel like if you make this game outside of 10, people will start betting the Bears. I don't know. I'd probably still bet the Lions. I've been every time the Lions are a big favorite, I go, they should be 20-point favorites. And then they win by 50. Like
You've
because
been
Campbell
right.
runs the score up, right? So have you thought about that? The way that Campbell plays, there are no backdoor covers for opponents. He runs the score up like he's playing a college game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that going back to last year where he almost lost Sam Laporta for their playoff run because he was being a dummy in week 18.
Yep. Oh my God, dude. Giants, Cowboys, give me a line.
Cowboys minus 3. Should be a pick 'em on a neutral. Dallas is at home.
Yep, I agree.
Maybe more if they get back some of those defenders.
Deron Bland,
Yeah.
Jordan Lewis, right?
Yeah, they're banged up in the secondary today. Luckily, they got Parsons back, but they still
Yeah,
need more.
I'll go
And
2.5.
DeVito is so bad. DeVito's worse than anything the Cowboys could possibly
He's
put on the
terrible.
field at QB. He's horrific.
Terrible. I'm gonna go Cowboys 2.5. And then Dolphins Packers. I'll start this one. Give me Packers. I'm not giving the Packers a field goal. I'll give them 2.5. Or sorry, laying 2.5. Packers minus 2.5.
I was going to say Packers -4.
Oh, okay. So you like the Packers here probably a little bit more than I do. They're just, setting the lines. Give me the total for Cowboys and the Giants.
36.5.
That's what, yep. I was going to say 30 because 37 is actually a key number in football betting in NFL. Yeah, 36.5. I don't know how you can go higher than 36.5. It might be lower. This might be like a Blizzard game where it's like 33.5. We'll see. We'll keep this in mind. What's that?
I'm pumped.
We'll see where we end up, Matt, when we do this show next Monday, because we'll have lines for all these Thanksgiving games. Anyway, happy to have you guys with us. Take a single second, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It goes a very long way for us. It's free to do both of those things, and it helps us feed the algorithm. And if you're watching after the fact, hey, leave a comment down below. We read and respond to all of those and appreciate you greatly for your support here, watching us each and every day throughout the season. Ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so starting up top for a moment, and we can move around, navigate this however we want. You and I will be on the show later tonight too. I don't think we get news. It seems unlikely. We know Nico Collins is back. CeeDee Lamb, they had that flare up with his back, but he's good to go. So at this point, it seems like everyone is fine. Mixon, Lamb, Collins, Stroud, Dell, and Dowdle, all of these, and I'm using flex pricing here, above 9K. I know it's his first game back, but I'm having trouble not clicking a lot of Nico Collins here. Like before he got hurt through the first 4 weeks, he had a near 30% target share, targeted on 28.5% of routes run, which is wild because the guy was running routes on 100% of dropbacks, and Stephon Diggs was healthy. So if Collins isn't worked slowly into this, and I honestly don't know why he would be, I think he could have played last week and they were just being safe. How does he not just become like the preeminent pass catching option in this game?
I think he has to be. Their passing attack completely eroded as soon as he left the field, even with Diggs, with Tank Dell healthy. This passing game has been a shell of itself since he went down. He's the engine of everything they do offensively through the air. I don't think he's priced expensive enough. He was very clearly playing at a top 5 rate in the NFL before he went hurt. I think you could argue he was the best receiver in football. I wouldn't make that argument, but I wouldn't push back on it. This guy's absolutely awesome creating big plays. You just have to wonder, it's a hamstring. Is there any restrictions? I've been pretty vocal about teams not limiting players off injuries like this just because for roster spots are way too valuable. You can't play guys as decoys. So, I mean, seems like they were cautious. His initial prognosis was day-to-day. Then they went week to week and put him on IR to keep him safe. I think we get full go Nico Collins here, and he's underpriced.
That's how I see it too. I mean, imagine if Nico Collins had been playing since week 4 and Diggs was the one that hit the IR. What's Collins' price point? Right? Like Collins is 11.5 here, maybe more. So yeah,
over 10K for sure, and probably pretty well ahead of it.
He's 10.4 now.
Right. And I think if he had been healthy this whole time, he would be more than that.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Oh, you're saying into the 11s. I got you. You're saying into the 11s. Okay. Let's talk about Joe Mixon too. So Mixon, I don't know if you've looked at his props, but rushing plus receiving 106.5, to score a touchdown -180. This guy's workload has been preposterously high. 30 carries in week 1. Then I would assume we're in the same boat. I don't even count weeks 2 and 6. Week 2, he got hurt against Chicago, left the game. Week 6, he comes back after a 3-week absence and gets 13 carries, has 102 yards, averages almost 8 yards per attempt. But they clearly wanted to get him in a little bit slower there, and they beat the shit out of New England. Since that, since he's been a full go, these are how many carries he has had: 25, 25, 24, 25, with 13 targets over that stretch. Matt, this is, when you talk about workload, there is not a single player in the league right now seeing a Joe Mixon workload.
No, and
Maybe Saquon Barkley. Sorry, maybe Barkley.
You could maybe put Kamara in there if you were considering like, but even last week we saw Taysom Hill play a lot in the run game. I'm not sure you can consistently put Kamara in there anymore with Taysom Hill healthy. Very few backs are seeing this workload. And I would argue he's underpriced too, just given their touchdown favorites over this Cowboys team, who is still missing defenders. Yes, a lot of them in the back end, which doesn't influence Mixon as much. But you just have so much wiggle room with the volume he's getting, and he's an active pass catcher. I don't really see myself coming into any contest tonight, even like a 150 set, without 3 of the Texans studs. I just don't really see how you can do it.
Man, so what you're saying when I initially hear that, the one part of my brain is like, well, isn't that super chalky and this and that? But then the other side is like, what is the non-chalk alternative here? I don't know if go ahead.
It's a bit of an exaggeration because you do have like CeeDee Lamb. I don't think Dowdle should be this expensive. I don't know if Rush makes it through the whole game. So
That's what I said. I made a betting video this morning and I bet under on a few of his props. It's like, it's already a tough spot, but what if Trey Lance just starts the second half?
Dude, I think there's like a pretty decent chance that happens. It's already been referred to in the media. And I don't know
and
what
Mike
like
McCarthy's
what do you do?
Job is clearly on the line.
He's a lame duck, dude. He's gone.
He is a lame duck. Also, it feel like this team has given up on him already?
Micah Parsons has. I mean,
yeah, that was crazy. And then he tried to say he wasn't throwing McCarthy under the bus. I went back and listened. I'm like, I don't know how else to interpret that.
I mean, Mike McCarthy's an idiot. He never should have had this job to begin with. So, I mean, you reap what you sow, and Dallas making an atrocious hire at head coach. Like, this is just what you get.
I think Jerry also set him up for failure across the board. Like, you can afford these players, and they go out and they decide that Ezekiel Elliott is the answer at running back. Like, I'm typically team running backs don't matter in the sense of like winning a Super Bowl, but there's just no doubt, and I'll eat my words here. I already have, that Derrick Henry has made a sizable difference in Baltimore. That Saquon Barkley has made a humongous difference in Philly. They have zero semblance of a run game.
Yeah, I mean, you could have went out and got Devin Singletary, and now he's been beat out by Tyrone Tracy. But it's not like Singletary was bad. It's just they somehow landed a gem in a 5th round Tyrone Tracy. I mean, he could have got Mixon. It could have got Mixon. Could have got a lot of different guys. I mean, this is crazy. Would you rather have Alexander Madison or Ezekiel Elliott?
Madison. It's not even a question.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what we're talking about.
Elliott's dust, man. Like, listen, Elliott was a great player for years. You can't handle 300 plus carries for like half a decade straight and then just be expected in, what is he, in his 10th year now or something? I really don't know. It could be like
Kareem Hunt was signed off the street after all of this. He's better than Ezekiel Elliott.
He is. He also much, much better team. But yes, to your point, he has, how many years has Elliott been in the league at this point? 8?
I think he was a 20.
This is 9th
draft
year.
Pick? Was he a 2015 draft pick?
2016. So this is his 9th year. And listen to this. Like 322 attempts, 242, 304, 301, 244 in 15 games, 237. This guy has so much mileage on him. Like, to bring him back and think that he can be competent and you can have an efficient run game is insane.
We talk about like dysfunction at an organization level. Like most things, there's many issues, many problems. Signing Ezekiel Elliott is definitely one of them, when you can have alternatives that are maybe just a little more expensive, but far better. But Mike McCarthy's the one putting him on the field every game. Like, you don't have to play him. If you learn he's dust, I mean, like what unless Jerry's breathing down your neck and saying, get Ezekiel Elliott on the field or you're going to lose your job, which he might be doing that. Jerry Jones is extremely involved as far as ownership goes. I don't know what the answer is, but all I know is it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem. So look, I get what you're saying. I think though, Dowdle's still viable. I don't even disagree that he's overpriced. Like I think Dowdle is a little overpriced, but he might just be someone that you have to kind of bite the bullet on, and you're going to get him in some lineups today because his involvement's significant enough. He's actually been good. Dowdle, well, maybe I'm using that term loosely, but Dowdle hasn't been bad. Like he's averaging 4.5 yards per carry. He's had some big plays in the run game. Amazingly, or in the pass game. Amazingly, he has 0 rushing touchdowns on the season, but it's not like he's been the problem, right? You look at this offense as a whole, Rico Dowdle is the last guy that you would point towards as the problem.
I agree with you. I don't think he's a problem for this team. It's just like on the hierarchy of studs, like, I mean, if let's just say 9K and above. Mixon, Collins, Stroud, CeeDee, all clearly ahead of him. So it's like, where do you start factoring in Dowdle? And maybe you could just make the argument within Dallas. Playing Dowdle over CeeDee is a price thing. You can upgrade somewhere else in your lineup. I would understand that, but I just can't put him ahead of any Texan stud. This is going to have to be an ownership game if I get to him. And of course, if you're running 150, like you're going to get some Dowdle no matter what. But I mean, just preference wise, I don't know how you get there. I still think there's concerns with this workload.
Yeah, and McCarthy did say he's the lead back, but I don't know what that means because he's kind of
He
already
said that like 6 times this year, and Ezekiel Elliott continues to play.
right.
Or Dalvin Cook. I don't know. Whoever.
And
they put
Dowdle's
up there.
already been the lead back as far as touches go, right? So this could just continue. He's already been the lead back. So I don't know what actually matters here. Jordan, I'm looking at this and you can pull this up as well. But Matt, as far as ownership is concerned, the crazy part about Dowdle right now is his ownership. This is what's shocking because I'm just looking at it now. His ownership isn't even that much different than these other guys. Like, all right, if you were to sort by ownership on this slate, it's Stroud, Mixon, far and away the 2 top ones. Collins at 35, which is wild. Like I think Collins should be as high owned as either of those 2 guys. And then Dowdle at 34%. So like we have Dowdle higher owned than CeeDee Lamb. We have him higher owned than everybody not named Stroud, Mixon, and Collins. So yeah, the more I look at it, that ownership is very high for a 9K running back on a team that has an implied total of what? Like 17?
It might just be a price thing with CD being so expensive. You know, like it's very hard to play Nico, Mixon, CD. You're going to punt like 2 or 3 times in a lineup like that. So you could make an argument that you save 2,800 going down to Dowdle. I mean, at that point, I might honestly rather just go down to Ferguson then. Like if I'm going to give up 2,800 to get Dowdle, like Dowdle's the priority, like just give me an extra like 5,000 on top of that. Let's go down and play Kavontae Turpin. I don't know. I just don't really know what kind of upside you're getting. Game script you mentioned, all that stemming from the total in the game and the spread. And then how much is Elliott playing? I mean, we flat out do not know that, but I think it honestly could be worse than some people like to think.
Yeah,
Dowdle's also never handled a big workload ever.
no, but maybe in a spot like this, it's just throw caution to the wind because they have nothing else. Do you know what their point differential is at home this year?
No,
Can you just take
can't
a
be good.
Can you amuse me and take a
Total
guess?
or per game?
Total. Yeah, total, not average, total.
64.
Their point differential, the Cowboys?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
minus 94.
Okay, even worse.
Minus 94. Incredible stuff. Dowdle is my 4th highest owned player right now. I'm not going to change it. And I tell you, one of the reasons for that is, by the way, one of the reasons significant for that is when I look at somebody like Tank Dell with Collins back, first of all, Tank Dell hasn't even been that good without Nico Collins, right? I mean, he had one or two okay games. He hasn't been bad, but he certainly hasn't been good. 9,400 with Collins back for Tank Dell. Doesn't that seem like a gross overprice?
I think it is. I think you have basically three overpriced studs and maybe four because CD you could probably argue is a little overpriced given the systemic issues of the offense, but Dowdle's overpriced. I can't even fathom playing Cooper Rush at this price. And then with Nico back, I think you still have an overprice on Tank Dell, but the problem is like, who are you playing instead? You can load up on the three studs, mix in Nico, Stroud. I have no problem with that. But I think a lot of lineups are going to have a fourth, and these guys are all questionable in some way or another. I think I'd rather just play like another Texan than take on, or CD if you can afford him, rather than like get Dowdle or Rush. So I don't know. If this slate started now, I would put some negative ROI boosts on Dowdle and some positive ones on Dell. Just so many systemic problems with Dallas.
Okay. I think I'm a little bit different there. I think I'd probably eat the volume on Dowdle, thinking, anywhere between like 16, 18 touches I can live with.
I don't know if he gets that.
You don't think so?
Not really.
Let's see. Last game, 15, 18, 11. That was Detroit, though. That hardly counts. 22. Yeah, I don't know. I look at it like 12
That's probably
carries.
a pretty good line.
If I were to have to set total looks, forget about touches, total looks, I'd probably set 15 and a half, Matt. That's where I'd set it at.
That's reasonable to me.
Project him for around 11, 12 attempts, 3 or 4 targets. I think that's fair.
I agree.
But you're right. He might not, like 18's on the high range of outcomes for sure. But Jordan, do me a favor, blow up the Sims and go to lineups. I want to see what our lineups look like. This might give us an idea, Matt, of what we're kind of getting at right now in the Sims tool. So, because look, I use this as my guidance every single day. This is what I use. I use the Sims, and it's been very, very good to me this season. So I plan on changing absolutely nothing. All right. So Mixon, Aubrey, Rush, Ferguson. Wow. 2 kickers and Dowdle. I'm not surprised by that. Mixon, Stroud, Agumbawale, Ferguson. Another 2 kicker lineup with Tank Dell. So it looks like you're probably going to get a lot of 2 kicker spots, Matt, which doesn't shock me at all here, actually, at all. Mixon captain. When I ran it, I had 18% Nico at captain. Scroll down a little bit, Jordan, just to see what else we're getting. But yeah, some of the top lineups, Matt, a lot of Mixon captain. There's a Ferguson captain lineup. Get you Lamb, Rush, Mixon, and I got another 2 kicker lineup. So yeah, I can't say I'm shocked by this, but do we have any, like, are we seeing any Nixon or Mixon, Stroud, Nico lineups? Well, there's a Lamb, Mixon, Collins lineup, so that's there. Let me ask you this. What are the Mixon, Stroud, Nico lineups or Mixon, Stroud, Lamb lineups look like? Like, what are we jamming? What do we have to force in at the bottom range of this?
Well, I mean, you just talked about one with CD. All you have to do is replace CD with, one of the other studs, then play your 2 kickers, and you're in the mid-range again. So it seems like the double kicker is extremely popular. You got to punt once, which is pretty common for most of these builds. But, I mean, there's options. We'll get there. I guess, like the biggest thing, and I usually will make a tweak or two to projections. I don't think Cooper Rush plays the whole game. I am definitely, if this is just how it sits, I'm going to make a projection change on Cooper Rush.
You would, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it this morning. Like, what do you think the chance is?
I'd say there's a 60% chance, 65% chance he finishes the game.
You should probably dock his projection then. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. 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 65's not great. I mean, I still think, like I said, I still think it's likely that he finishes the game, but you can't say he's above 80%, right?
I don't think so. I don't even know if I would give it 60.
Yeah.
I think it might be like a straight up 50-50. He
You
doesn't
think it's
finish
a
this
coin
game.
toss?
Yeah, he's horrible. And they traded for Trey Lance.
I know.
Like,
I
what was the
know.
point of that? And maybe this is, I'm not at practice, obviously. I'm over here, a bozo, talking to you in front of my computer. Maybe Trey Lance has just been so bad in practice. They're like, saw what we need to. We took the shot. It was wrong. Move on. And I get that. If that's the case, then I would commend the Cowboys, but we don't know that. And Cooper Rush is horrific. So I would be like, it would shock me if that's what they came to, that conclusion.
What do our exposures look like, Jordan? Can you go to captain exposures? And yeah, Einsteinium, who said, can't ignore how awful Stroud has looked without Nico. And even though he's back, I'd imagine Dallas pressures him all night. It's possible, but, and I wish I knew where to find this and who to credit, but I had seen stats with Stroud with and without Nico. Absolute night and day scenario, Matt.
Yeah, and that is an avenue Dallas could use to exploit this game. They do have a good pass rush, especially with Parsons back. And for some reason, this Houston O-line has regressed. I'm not really sure why. They were pretty decent last year. They have basically all the same players. And the changes they made were on paper upgrades, but it has been a mess. So I don't know. That's kind of like a little bit of push and pull. Do they get it together at some point? Or do they continue being a complete sieve? I don't know.
I don't know either. Do you just neutralize them with the run game? Who knows? Also, this is an offense that had 47 passing yards against the Eagles, 47 passing yards. Will it be that bad today? Probably not. But the Texans allow the lowest completion percentage to opponents. Yes, it helps that they faced Anthony Richardson twice. But they have 13 interceptions, second most in the league. Oddly enough, they've allowed 21 touchdowns, which is also second most in the league. But looking at captain exposure, looks a lot different than mine, Matt, because I have a lot more Nico Collins at captain, but that Joe Mixon captain exposure is really telling in the Sims run.
I would probably cap it a little bit just from a risk preference thing, but Mixon's going to be my most owned captain tonight. The only guy that would rival him is Nico Collins, and the ownership would have to change pretty significantly for that to come in, I think. Significantly different compared to what we see now.
And if you guys, by the way, ever wanted to, so many people have done this so far because you're getting our sub for free and it's $100 value and you're getting as many of them as you want based on how many books you sign up with. You sign up with any of our partners, any of our sports books, or everyone's always saying, Laffy, but I'm in a shitty state. This is what they say. That has no legal betting. Doesn't matter, man. Better, Sleeper, Rebet, picks you're on DraftKings, Vivid, Underdog, all of those are pick'em sites that are legal in most states. And if you're in legal betting states, you've got BetMGM, Caesars, FanDuel, Bet365. Sign up at any of those, right? With the link, you got to use the link in the description. So you click that link, it takes you to this very simple 4-step process. Click claim offer on any of these books or pick'em sites, right? Click claim offer. Jordan can show you where it is when he scrolls down. And as you go over there, you sign up, takes a minute to instantly verify. Deposit, usually it's like a $10 deposit. FanDuel's $5. Bet365's deposit 10, only bet 5. The moment you make your first bet, okay, after it settles, you've got a free month of Stokastic Sims Core for any sport you want, $100 value. That's getting you the Sims tool that you're seeing right here, the single lineup sim, which has just revolutionized the way people hand build. And I mean that when I say it has. And just you're going to build better lineups. You're going to make more money with these tools. The ownership projections, player projections, top stack tool, boom bust tool, premium Discord, every tool that we have on the site for football. Or if you wanted to go, hey, I'm going to do BetMGM, get my 150 in bonus bets. I'm going to go Bet365, get my 150 in bonus bets. And then I'm going to get a month of NBA and a month of NFL, run that all the way through Thanksgiving and up until December into Christmas. You can do that as well. There is no limitation on how many months you want to grab. As long as you sign up, follow these steps. Sign up, follow the steps on the screen. Got to click the claim now offer just so we can track you. And after your first bet settles, send us a screenshot of the welcome email and the first settled bet at support@stokastic.com. And you've got it. You're in. $100 for each of those months that you grab. Look, man, you've been on the fence wanting to grab these tools. I don't know how long we're going to keep doing this, but this is the way to do it, to jump in, get the tools. And when I say it's for free and you go, not that any of you have said this, yeah, but you still got to put, say I do 2 books, that's $20 in deposits. Yeah, but it's also $300 in bonus bets on all of those sites. It's a win-win across the board, and you're getting the best tools in the industry. Anyway, 21 years or older to gamble. Gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Are we ready, Matt? And like I said, it's the first link in the description. If you just wanted to sign up the regular way, we have the link down there to find any weekly or monthly package, Essentials, Basic, Core, Max. They're all down there as well. So don't forget about that. It is not a one-size-fits-all process here. Can we talk some value, Matt?
I think we have to. If we're going to jam all these studs, we got to figure out some way to do it.
I mean, I would just think that now we already know, based on looking at our lineups, that kickers are going to play a pretty prominent role in this on this slate tonight.
Kickers, I think, are the safe option, but there is a lot, as you say, no stone unturned. We need to uncover some of these receiving rooms, how they're going to look with Nico Collins back. Is this going to be like earlier in the season, or has John Mechie like carved out enough of a role? Dallas is really just messing around with their third receiver. I don't really know what they're going to do, but there's at least a lot of options because of that. We just saw Jalen Brooks play his lowest snap total since week 5, and there were some other players that really benefited from that. Plus, these teams will run 12 personnel. There's definitely some stuff to talk about down here and ways you can get creative. You don't just need to play 2 kickers. Those are the safer options, but you can get different down here.
Mechie was the one I was looking at too. He has a yardage prop, receiving yards too. It's 15.5 on FanDuel. It's 12, or sorry, 15.5 on FanDuel, 12.5 on Pinnacle and some other books. So, I mean, who knows? But let me kick this over to you, and then we'll bounce some ideas off of each other. What are we thinking as far as value goes? The Mechies of the world, the Dario Gumbawales. Mixon has just dominated opportunities in this backfield lately. And then looking at the Dallas side, we can talk about Ferguson. Ferguson, I wouldn't put him in that same category. But like you said, Jalen Brooks, 58% of snaps last game. Turpin gets on the field once in a while, makes a cool play. But aside from that, has been pretty uninvolved. What are we doing here?
So the reason you get a lot of kickers is just like Kamini Fairbairn, nearly 9.3 points. Brandon Aubrey for Dallas, he's had nearly 8 points. Everyone else down here has some sort of just atrocious price adjusted projection. Like Jalen Tolbert's at 5.5. Ezekiel Elliott's at 4. Mechie's at 3.5. Brooks is at 3. And the big reason for this is everyone's rotating more or less on these teams. You would need some sort of change in role to significantly have one of these players jump up the rankings. So it's very hard to play any of them above kickers, but we can make some guesses. And if you're running 150 lineups, you certainly will have to do some of them. With Mechie, the big question is, what do they do with Xavier Hutchinson? Because he continues to play an enormous uninvolved role for this Houston Texans team. Has Mechie done enough to usurp him? I don't think it's going to happen on even a full-time role. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just like split 50-50. One thing the Texans do a lot of is using players in very specific roles on offense. The Eagles do this sometimes. Not every team is like Sean McVay and the Rams, where they have like a direct backup. As soon as someone goes down, backup plays like 100% of the snaps. They don't even have a consistent slot receiver on this team. Sometimes it's Mechie. Sometimes they use a big slot. Sometimes they move Schultz into the slot. And I mean, they're going to use both Dell and Nico Collins in that role at times. So depending on how they configure this lineup, you're going to see Mechie on the field sometimes, Hutchinson on the field times. And I don't have a good feel for how this is. I think our projections are pretty spot on. And some people might be surprised to see Mechie this low. I just don't think we have any sort of predictable role for him tonight. He's at 3.5 fantasy points, and I think that's probably appropriate.
I don't know how you can confidently put it higher than that right now, unfortunately. What about Cade Stover? It's gross, but he's been on the field and he's seen some opportunities. Like, with Collins back, do you see, I mean, I would imagine you just see less opportunities across the board for everybody. But do we say, hey, Cade Stover's $1,600, and we should probably, be willing to get some of him to, like, I have 6% to Cade Stover. I have 5% Turpin right now. These are the guys that I'm getting to, and I'm not getting a lot of them. Like, all right, let me do this. Let's see who is my highest exposed guy sub 3K. Let's go sub 3K. Jalen Brooks at 15%.
I think he makes some sense. Stover is really challenging. He's been by far their least efficient player to see a target this year. It's not even particularly close. He's also been a terrible blocker. So I'm not really sure what he really does for your offense. I think they're using more 12 personnel lately. It's twofold. Obviously you're just naturally going to have to do that when you lose Diggs and Nico. Getting Nico back should help this. But their O-line's not been great either. But I mean, you don't really have a good blocking tight end. Catoriano's not fantastic at it. It's not Dalton Schultz's specialty. I think he's definitely been better than Cade Stover. So I'm a little worried about Stover's snaps just coming down. But at the same time, they drafted this guy pretty decently. So I think maybe they want to develop him. I don't know. He's just been so bad. It's really hard to see him seeing an increase in snaps. If anything, I think this could just go in the tank.
All right, let's talk about one other guy here. What about Turpin? It's pretty disgusting, and I don't think you would argue that at all. But he's very cheap. He's going to see some snaps, but he's also the kick returner and he's the punt returner. Does that give us any life at all, knowing that Turpin is the one? And by the way, he's actually been pretty decent on returns this year. He hasn't scored, I don't believe. Actually, he does have a punt return touchdown. He's been pretty good. He's a pretty good returner. What if this just ends up being one of those days where Kevontae Turpin, and you can't project this, I know, but like a Kevontae Turpin kick return touchdown just ends up sealing the deal, and that's the value guy you need because he ends up having one reception for 12 yards and 6 points on a return touchdown. All I'm saying is the value down here is so hard, to use your phrase, to parse through, and there's nobody that stands out as just like a legitimate good option that you just feel good about. I'm scrolling through everybody here. You have to get up past the 200 range, obviously, unless you're looking at like a Schoonmaker or a Deuce Vaughn, and those guys just, totally uninvolved. I don't think Vaughn's even seeing the field. To a Turpin. Like, I think Turpin is the cheapest playable option. That doesn't mean he's good. It means the cheapest playable option at $1,200.
I don't hate Turpin. He didn't have any targets last week, this is another situation that's hard to parse. They got absolutely murdered by Philly, and we saw season highs in snaps for a bunch of just complete scrubs. You can't really expect Ryan Flournoy or Jalen Cropper to see season highs in snaps again. There are 7-point underdogs. I mean, there is a chance they get murdered, but let's assume this plays towards the spread. Turpin had back-to-back 4-target games. He actually had 5 and 7 targets in 2 games before that. He's sort of like this Mecole Hardman level player where he doesn't play a ton of snaps, but he doesn't need to. Usually when he's on the field, there's some sort of design for him, at least at some point in the game. So that would be very shocking to me if he comes into this game or comes out of this game targetless like he did last week. I think that was just a product of they got down and down fast and couldn't get back in the game. All that kick return, punt return stuff, I think, is a bonus for him. I actually think his floor in the offense is reasonable tonight, given the lack of value.
We had a comment. Turpin misses Dak because he's the only one it's the only time he got run.
Everyone misses Dak.
Exactly. Like if Turpin misses Dak and you can't play him at 1,200, then what the hell are we doing with CeeDee Lamb at what is he, 10-8? Like, that's the crazy thing, right? Because
honestly, I think Turpin might get more run without Dak because Dak can run a real offense. Cooper Rush and Trey Lance cannot. Maybe you see more gimmicks because you have 2 quarterbacks that are inept.
All right, you ready? You ready for the wild question? I don't think I've asked this in years, Matt. And you guys in chat, boy, are you going to, all 500 of you, you're going to love this one. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Double dip,
On what?
defense and punter turner guy.
Oh no, it's crazier than that. By the way, if you guys don't mind, hit that thumbs up. Show us some love. We have 80 right now, could get to 100, and that would make me very, very happy. Very happy. And if you're not rocking the Stokastic avatar yet, can I just subtle reminder? Stokastic.com/HOF. I mean, why not turn big wins or any win into bigger wins? Download one of those avatars, use it wherever it is you play. FanDuel, DraftKings, doesn't matter. Use it there as your avatar. Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. It could be a 10-cent entry where you win 75 bucks. Does not matter. As long as you're top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, not chopping with 3 or more people, you're getting in. Just tweet us and mention Matt and myself. We like to see the wins at Stokastic HOF on Twitter. First time in, free month, any single sports sims package, max. That's, by the way, that is $200 value. Second time, get another month plus a free week of another sport. Third time, Sims All Access, $550 value, just for getting in the Hall of Fame 3 times in a calendar year. And if you hit that 20K, the elusive 20K plus, get one of these gorgeous, beautiful, custom engraved Stokastic rings. Your name is on the ring. You can see it if you look close enough, right? Hall of Fame underneath with the engraved faceplate down there on the spinning display. Man, imagine putting one of those on your desk and someone walks down and they look at you and they have a favor to ask or whatever it may be, but then they see that ring and you go, that's right, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
it
right.
looks sick on the desk.
You don't ask me to do anything until you get one of these rings. Stokastic.com/HOF. Anyway, and thanks, bomb.com. Said, love the pod, subscribed, and like. Thanks to all you guys. You ready for the question? Are you ready?
Is it backup quarterback?
Oh, you got it. I knew you were going to get it, dude. I knew it. If you're playing a ton of lineups, say like in the mini max or maybe one in the play action, the first down, would you entertain the idea of playing a mobile quarterback in Trey Lance? Can't believe I'm asking this question during the season, but here we are.
It's not the craziest thing. I don't think I'm going to do it. This comes down to like one of the biggest rules in preseason football. We need guys that are going to be on the field. I just don't know how much Trey Lance will be on the field. Like how much of a leash does Cooper Rush get? How long does he play? Like how many mistakes can he make before Trey Lance actually plays? I don't think you could project him for even more than a half if Cooper Rush implodes. And then from there, he has to be like semi-efficient. His mobility certainly would help, but he's also not cheap. I mean, you're paying the backup quarterback price for him, which isn't nothing. It's hard for me to see getting there. I don't know. It would have to be like some report came out pregame, Cooper Rush is on like a short leash or something, or like Dallas wants to look at Trey Lance. I don't know if we'll get that though. It seemed to doubt it at this point.
It has to be like the ultimate needle thread, right? You have to thread the needle perfectly because first of all, Cooper Rush has to be terrible. Second of all, he has to be terrible early enough in the game. And then third, Trey Lance has to come in and actually play. And then fourth, Trey Lance actually has to be good. So it's like you have so many variables in play here. I might play like 5% Trey Lance. And if it's the mini max, who cares? Like I don't. I truly don't care if it's that or the play action or one of those. I'm not going to get 5% in the big contest or like I'm not going to be throwing a Trey Lance lineup in the single entry spy, Matt. I'm not suggesting that. That'd be crazy though. If one of us won the spy with Trey Lance, I mean, that'd be historic. Then you could really, could you imagine having the ring, the Stokastic Hall of Fame ring, and it was on a Trey Lance lineup in like a mid-stakes single entry with 50K to first? Can you imagine? You would never have to answer to anyone else in your life.
Don't put that into existence. Don't even tempt someone to waste that money on the spy
Why?
with Trey Lance.
Maybe we do it.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Maybe I never play like the 5-5-5, but I might play it just to play the
Donate that money to charity.
I'm just kidding. Rip and Sippin said, I usually put my feet up on my boss's desk and pull out my ring before saying fuck you. That'd be something else, dude. Now in some of the smaller contests, I'm not opposed to it. Do I understand it's crazy? But this, I think, Matt, is the one game all season where we've had a Thursday or Monday game. Like this is the first time all season where we've had a real legitimate shot of like Trey Lance playing 2+ quarters, and he has legs.
Yeah, man. I mean, there are definitely crazier things I've heard on these slates. There's a real outcome where he plays a significant amount in this game. I don't know what Dallas is going to do. I don't know what they've been doing either, honestly.
Yeah, me neither. Are there any mid-range guys that we should talk about before we build a lineup here? Because the mid-range feels gross. Like, it feels pretty bad. If you want to include, I wouldn't include Mechie in there. He's still pretty cheap. Outside of the kickers, $5,800 Ferguson. Who else is really there though? Like it's a total dead range, of course, other than Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, you could go down and play like Tolbert. If you want to include him in the value conversation, he's probably the best one, but he's still not cheap. Like you have to make Tolbert work. And then if you're going up, you're sacrificing a lot of projection to play a tight end, whether it's Jake Ferguson or Dalton Schultz. They're both a little overpriced in this range. Kickers have a better price adjusted value on the slate. So that's another reason why you're getting them. Lack of mid range. At the bottom, all the receivers are splitting work. You can poke holes in like the weird personnel groupings these teams run. Like it's not just Kate Stover. Katoriano plays some too. Houston probably runs less 12 now that we have Nico Collins back. There's just a lot of gross plays that are down at the bottom, which sort of funnel you to kickers. And it's also kind of the same thing in the mid range where you have overpriced tight ends.
Nothing stands out.
I kind of think Tolbert might be my favorite. I don't know. He's been wildly uninvolved, but his price and his routes at least are there.
He's on the field a ton.
He's on the field a ton, doing nothing, but he's out there.
Right. No, you're right. He's doing nothing, but 93% of snaps last game, 95 the week before that. Yeah, maybe Tolbert just ends up being somebody that's a necessary evil. 5 targets last week. I mean, let me put it to you this way. I know they're on the team with a 17 total compared to the 24 and a half for the Texans. I'd still much prefer Tolbert over Mechie.
Me too. Mechie's probably going to have like a 50% snap share tonight. If that, that's like a ceiling outcome for Mechie.
Who would you rather have, Tolbert or Schultz?
That's really close. Tolbert probably just to save the salary.
Okay. I think I'd lean Schultz here just because they're $400 apart and he's on a better offense, but it's actually pretty close with how often Tolbert's on the field. The few PPR points might just get you there today.
We have Schultz about 2 points projected higher than him. Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty significant difference in that.
Anybody else we haven't talked about yet that you want to get to before we build oh God, we have to build a lineup for this.
It's going to be hard. I don't know, man. Like you could really consider guys that are going to play like a couple snaps, like Robert Woods. I don't know. Dameon Pierce. It's that kind of slate where I am a little more interested in those guys than normal just because of the way the slate breaks out. But man, it is, we hit most of the guys I want to play for the most part. If you want to get a little greasy with someone else, probably not for me, but maybe you play like the $200 Ryan Flournoy after a season high in snaps and a murdering. It could happen again. I don't know. It's pretty gross down here.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Jordan, pull up the single lineup sim. Go large field, but then do 15% to first. And like I said, guys, you want to join, get access to this, to the actual sims, to all of our tools for NFL and really any other sports you want. That link down there gets it for you. Just follow those 4 simple steps. Click claim offer, sign up, deposit, make your first bet, and email us with your settled bet and with a screenshot of your welcome email. If you do it with 3 different books or 3 different pick'em sites, that means you now have 3 months of core, $99 value. And we got a lot of, plus we got Thanksgiving coming up. I mean, who doesn't want to be getting in on the tools for Thanksgiving football, the week of Thanksgiving football? Matt, let me kick it off. I'm going to go Nico. I'm going to go Nico captain.
I'm going to follow it up with Mixon. These are my two favorite plays in the slate.
I'm with you. Two priorities for sure. You know what? Let me go Turpin.
Okay, we're going to open it up. I like Turpin. So we can play one stud probably still, if not two. We're at 7,400 left.
It has to be Stroud, doesn't it?
I think so. I like Stroud. Let's go him.
All right. If it wasn't Stroud, who would you go here?
I'd probably just try to jam CD.
Yeah, true. If I go with Dowdle, that gives us 3,400. No, that doesn't work. I'll throw a kicker in here because it appears that the kicker builds really are important. It probably doesn't really matter which kicker it is. I'll go Kaimi.
So we have 7K left.
Oh, Trey Lance.
We can play Trey Lance. We didn't talk a lot about the defenses. They are expensive on this slate, so I don't think they're going to be priorities by any means, but I was honestly surprised how much I got of them still. I think you could play the Texans defense in this situation. I also think you could play the Cowboys in different lineup builds. Do we want to throw throw the Texans in here?
We can, and then we'll try one more thing before we go. So we're going to throw the Texans in. We're going to run it. And then after this, Matt, let's try putting double kicker and then seeing if we can upgrade Turpin.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, Jordan, throw Texans in there and run it. And then we're going to run one more with it with the same captain build with Mixon and Stroud still in there. Kaimi in there as well. And then we'll go upgrade. Okay. So not bad. Let's see what it looks like without Turpin and without the Texans. If we went, by the way, both kickers in this actually looks good too. It's in the dome as well, which is helpful. Although kickers, everyone's hooking everything wide left lately.
Not Brandon Aubrey. That guy's a wagon.
Dude is insane. Line him up from 70. You got it, pal. Get out there. That gives us 3K. Who do you like at 3K?
My favorite play is Brooks.
You're right. Brooks is the play there.
Not Dare Gumbawale. I'm sorry. He should not be in the league anymore.
They're not even using him in the passing game now.
Which is good. He stinks at everything.
Mixon's a good back, man. I love that he's in a spot where he can be good.
He's my favorite player in the NFL. Always has been since he joined the league.
Well, you liked his off the field behavior more than his
You've made that comment more than once.
Have I?
Damn. Yeah. Because I've said this to you.
Really? On the show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. All right. Well, I take it back then. I don't like to repeat myself. He's your favorite player, huh? You're a big Mixon fan.
This stems from me liking college football. He was one of my favorite recruits way back in the day, and then he was an absolute wagon at Oklahoma. Then he did his thing. Yeah.
That's one way to put it.
That wasn't good.
No.
But let's put it this way. I've always believed in the Joe Mixon talent, and I'm a man of forgiveness. As soon as you're punished for your transgressions, let's not continue to punish people.
Would you say he has atoned for his sins?
It seems like it. I don't know. I'm not going to be a man of judgment here for what he should have done, what the punishment should have been. That's out of my hands. I like him as a football player on the field. His game is aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Hey, two good lineups. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging out as always. Fun show from start to finish. We will see you back here tonight for Live Before Lock. A whole lot more to get into. We'll run it a little bit differently than we do on the strategy show. And who knows, maybe we'll get some news that'll shake things up a little bit heading into Monday Night Football. to close out week 11. Appreciate it as always. Hit that thumbs up before you go. It goes a long way. Comment if you're watching or listening after the fact. And follow Matt at Matt_Gajewski on the Twitters. I'm at Laffy_D right under our faces. And we'll see you back here for the next one. Peace.